The exact location of the leak, I don't know. But I know the fire department shut the water to the boiler off. We have a floor drain here. Could have been spraying out the door. Because anything leaking here should go down that drain, right? I wasn't here when it happened, this is just my conclusion when I came up here.
Priority is extraction. We had a lot of water come through from the top floor. At this point, it's mainly just extraction, simply to get a lot of the water that's stuck on the floors out.
Large water loss occurred here about 10 days ago. Property manager called in after hours. The boiler, so this building built in 2010, the boiler setup means that the pump station is on the roof. So the boiler system failed and the leak originated from the roof area down. So basically we have water on from the 32nd floor all the way down to, I believe, the 5th or the 6th floor. Initial count was expecting to be about 70 units. As of today, we've confirmed 56 units are affected, varying levels of damage. So we're just working our way through. It's obviously a large project. There's a lot of stakeholders involved. So we're doing our best to try and confirm which areas are affected and put together a drying plan to start moving forward. It's been about a week now since we've had access and really got cracking on it. Obviously, there's still equipment going into affected areas. There's lots of variables involved in terms of access, tenants, owners, different insurance providers. So it's a big project. Just wanted to take you through today and kind of show you some of the stuff we're doing. We're on the 31st floor here, so near the top of the building. I'm going to take you into one of the affected units just to show you some of the drying processes that we have in place. It's going to be a little bit noisy, so let's just see how she goes.
Yeah, let's see how it goes.
So obviously one of the areas that we have concern in these type of buildings is what we call the electrical vaults. Because of the conduit running from the top of the building all the way down to the bottom, it's an easy course for the water to fall because we have all these electrical components that might be affected. So we want to make sure we're getting access to these, properly drying them out. As you can see, we have equipment drying this electrical vault out. We've also marked out the walls which are wet, and I'm going to take you to the unit here. But right now we're just trying to dry everything in place to kind of mitigate the damage so it doesn't get any worse, so then we can actually come in and do the physical demo. Oftentimes what happens in these type of losses as well is because they're concrete building with steel stud construction, is water will actually sit in the C channels, and we need to do compression cuts to actually physically open those channels up, visually assess if there's actually water in there, because there's no moisture meter made that can actually see through drywall and steel stud to determine if there's water in the tracks. Big priority right now is to figure out whether floors are affected because the insurance is looking for reserves on the loss. So when there's a loss of this size, the insurance wants to know what the value of the claim is going to be. But obviously it's a strata claim that we're handling, so there could be upgrades and betterments which wouldn't fall under that would fall on owner's personal policies, and that's really what the building is looking for at this point. Because this is such a big job, we have an additional party involved. They're basically called an assessment firm or a building consultant firm. So what they do is they work hand in hand with the insurance adjuster to help them quantify the loss. So to figure out, based on their experience, because they're specialists in building consulting, in cost and determining what building materials and what trade should cost. Right. So they basically fill in where the insurance company is missing to help them ensure that they're spending their money in a proper way and that we're doing the actual assessment. I mean, there's a lot of dollars on the table here. So obviously they're working hand in hand with us and the adjuster and the property manager. So it's a busy site. It's been a busy site. But for the most part, we're making good progress and we're getting good feedback from the stakeholders that are involved. We're all just trying to do our best to move the project forward.
No asbestos, but we may have lead in the tiles that we'll have to worry about. With the amount of water, we're probably gonna have to remove quite a few. So prioritize what we can dry, not bother with the stuff we can't dry.
This unit was heavily affected. Entry, closets, then kitchen, bedroom, and the master bathroom. So right now we're got equipment set up, we got a crew line and lined up to start demolition.
On a loss like this, obviously when we start on the roof and the water trickles all the way down, you're going to have the bulk of the units on the upper floors are the affected areas or the areas of concern. So we're working on those, working through those, and then as you get down, the damage lessens significantly. So the focus is on those upper units, getting them dried out, getting them handled. The other issue you have in a loss like this is power consumption. Most buildings aren't designed to have a consistent draw of power in the common areas for what we need to power this fleet of equipment that we have here. So basically we're having to kind of play with the power consumption and basically move equipment from floor to floor based on capacity. So we're drying systematically. We would love to throw all the equipment in and dry in the industry standard of 4 days, but unfortunately that's not always possible. You work with what you have, you talk to the adjuster, you get them on board, and then you work through area by area and you really try and tackle the job that way. Progress has been good in 10 days. The goal is for this emergency to be over by the end of October, so to have all units dry, all affected wet materials either removed or dried properly, and all the fire separations restored at that time. I would expect you're looking at a minimum 6 months before these units will be back up and running.